Hi, good day, guys.
Hello.
Hi. We're at Community Place right now. So welcome to another episode of the Monash Chit Chat. We got some little friends here today. So let Camila also introduce them.
For today's episode, we're gonna take you to a little trip back to Europe, especially to Russia, and we're gonna talk about communism, constructivism, and suprematism. And look at what we have here. We've got Lenin with us, Stalin, Khrushchev. I'm sorry, I don't know. Khrushchev? I think so. Brezhnev, Andropov, Chernenko? I think so.
And then
Gorbachev, Elstsin, Medvedev, and
the last one.
I mean, you have to see this. So we have Lenin there.
Yeah, and that's Putin.
Do you think if I go closer, they'll be able to see it?
I don't think so. I'm just comparing the size of that. Can you imagine that? Yes. And that's
look
right
at
here.
Lenin and Putin.
It's actually recognizing the face of Nelly, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, anyway, guys.
Let's get.
We're gonna, as always, we have some questions to answer. So let's jump right into it.
Okay.
So, yeah, the first one.
All right. So the first question is gonna be what's the difference between separatism and constructivism? All right. I'm gonna answer the question.
Yep.
Okay. So for separatism is it's like a sensation. It's figures using figures such Merrill took essential aspect of Cubist painting and believe that art could be free from recognizable figures and object elements such as straight line and square. And for constructivism, art should have no connection with society, and constructivism have more pragmatic and rigorous. Is it?
And what?
Rigorous.
Pragmatic and rigorous.
Yep, and approach non-representing painting. Yep.
Yeah, cool. So, we've talked about when it comes to suprematism, who were the leaders of the movement, and we see Malevich as being part of that.
Who's the other founder? There's two founders.
Yeah, Malevich is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Lizareski.
Wait, let me check the notes.
Malevich was suprematism with Lizareski. I think I could be pronounced it completely wrong. But one of the things that I could say about constructivism.
I love when you say the word too many times. It's very easy to get. Sorry, sure.
Suprematism. I don't know why I just brought in constructivism. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so yeah, suprematism. You basically mentioned.
Mention what?
Yeah, what supremacism, the difference between supremacism and constructivism.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was trying to get into constructivism and I just confused it with suprematism. When it comes to constructivism, we have figures like Radchenko being one of the pioneers of the movement. Constructivism was rejecting, suprematism.
And during editing, we will put on some samples for you guys
to check it out.
But that just lead to. Do you want to go? That just lead to the second question, right? Why?
Yeah, but the thing is that with constructivism as well is that they consider themselves as designers and artists. They should be seen as engineers, which I found that very interesting because we have artists, for example, the Dadaist movement as well. The Dada movement. We have artists like Hannah Hocka, which she could, all the people who did photo montage and collage in specific, they consider themselves as engineering. So all the Berlin Dadaists also consider themselves as engineers because they were constructing. And getting to constructivism, we have two key terms that are very important, which is tectonica and fractura. And do you want to explain when tectonica was in fractura? Or do you want me to?
I like your on it.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so we have fractura of being the synthesis resulting in a constructive reality. So tectonic was like the whole idea, and it was a fundamental conception based on a social use and expedient materials, the merging of content and form, which, for what we understand, it could be connected out into a social political idea or mentality. And then fractura was a realization of the natural properties of the material themselves, and their peculiar condition during the fabrication and their actual transformation. Another thing that we can say about constructivism was that... Wait. I was going to say another thing.
Probably it's easier to just bring up something from lecture. Yes.
Yep, this is another lecture.
I know, but...
We're going to edit this part. Where was it? I want to show you something. Well, anyway.
You know what? I'm not going to edit this part.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, anyway. Yeah, that's for the first question. I think that's where I'm gonna stop.
Yeah. Alright, let's go to the second question then. So, why do constructivists want to replace art and painting with engineering and graphic design? Which is because, like, the reason?
Yeah, because they saw suprematism as being too bourgeoisie. I think that's bourgeoisie. I don't know if that's a good
It's still a middle class. If you're trying to explain it, yeah.
Bourgeoisie.
If you're trying to explain it in English, there'd be middle class.
Which they were just in like.
It's kind of like against like what they believe in. I'm like, what their comments is like. Trying to be simple.
Yeah, no, but they were edging because they were still connected to religion. For example, we seen in Malevich like the crosses.
Yeah, it's still like crosses.
Yeah, so I would say that's because of that, because it was still too bourgeoisie, and in a way still like romantic.
Okay, so do you want to go to the third question?
Yeah.
So do you think like the American popular culture contributed to the demise of the Soviet Union?
Say that again, the what?
Did the American popular culture contribute to that
demise of the Soviet Union?
Yeah. Wait, that's my question.
That's your question. I get it.
Yes, so definitely is. I'm like during the 1940s, like there's like Americans trying to using all that kind of like advertisement. We're gonna put it here. They're just trying to use an advertisement showing how great the capitalism is, and I'm like they were doing all this advertisement is like doing a pretty good job. I gotta say that. And then like some of the artists like in Soviet Union, they also trying to do the same thing. One of them is called what's his name? Civic. Yeah. In 1940, he's the first one who bring up the idea of like consumption and consider it to be like the what's that? The market of social development.
Yeah.
And one of his very famous words like a I hate
Comrade Tito.
Comrade Tito. Yep.
Yeah.
And you can actually see like he's trying to tell that comparing, right? Sort of. Is it?
I wouldn't say comparing. I would say it's the irony of it. He was in a way, because if we analyze that artwork in a specific. According to the article of the Tate, Pop Art and the Socialist Thing, there a little pause because my computer just got stuck. Yeah, so come right here.
Is it automatic?
So
Civic is it?
Civic. Yeah. The work consists of a portrait of President Tito painted on a panel, with the party and state flags either side rendering in corrugated painted aluminium and the 5-pointed star made from wooden stars above. I'm gonna edit this part because I actually did that. We temporarily put aside the difference in economic and political systems, as well as the simplistic contention that pop art was not possible in socialist bloc countries. Significant similarities can be identified between Otasevic's work and that of several seminal pop artists. And there's like a lot of similarities with Peter Blake. The first real target, 1961. And yeah.
That's it. Like in conclusions, like the styles in the Soviet, like the style of the advertisement in the Soviet Union, and when comparing those like to America, it's like definitely a similar point. Yeah. All right, let's move to the next question. What is the difference between Soviet pop and American pop? Right. Alright. So when you're seeing like the advertisement, like such as like this was quite obvious one, like the car.
Ah, yeah, the car.
The cars. Yeah.
Which was
so like in a
Skoda.
Yeah, the Skoda.
Which was a symbol of communism, by the way.
So like it's pretty much like the same. I'm like the car. I'm like the product's pretty much like the same, but I'm like in the Soviet Union's advertisement, they probably just want to mention about like its functionality, but instead of like the kind of personality, even the color of the car, just trying to make it like lay low. But in America, it's trying to like even the line of the design of which is related to industrial design. The line of the product, the design is quite open, which is quite showing your personality, and the car is in red on the advertisement. So and I think that's the biggest difference. American is trying to show the individual, and then Soviet Union is trying to show the group.
Which one do you prefer? Like, if you have Suprematism and Constructivism, which one personally is the style that you would go for, and why?
Okay. I would say Constructivism.
Constructivism.
Yeah.
Why?
It's like let's say that. American is because I like. Wait, can I add this?
Look at the example of the constructivism.
Yep. So for the Constructivism, I like is combining the art form to some kind of like architecture design. I really like that kind of like the way to represent the idea of the designer. I think. For this reason, I don't know. To be honest, I have no idea what I'm talking about right now because
I think I like the idea of constructivism and how they see themselves as engineers, and like they are the constructor of the work. I found that very interesting because again, I really like Hannah Hawker. I know her works. It's just very interesting in how they like that group of the Berlin Dadaists, they would describe themselves. But at the same time, when I see Suprematism work and the use of abstraction like organic forms, geometric forms. I really like it as well. I personally never liked, for example, like was it Stalin?
Like a form like Stalin prefer like the oil painting and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is more realistic.
Yeah, but like I've never been a fan of paintings where depict in general like humans. I've never liked that. I've always been more in the abstract kind of like area. I remember going to like Kandinsky's like exhibition back in Mexico. They brought it, and it was, and I didn't at the time. I didn't know the background of it. I was I don't know. I was like 12 probably. But now that we've like studied like Constructivism a little bit and Suprematism and all the Communist Party, I found it very interesting and how it reflects on all these artworks. And it's also funny to see how there's a movement afterwards that was rejecting like the suprematist ideals. Well, rejecting in a way. So
yeah, I'm like when comparing to this, I also got some ideas for. I'm like I'm like instead comparing to the Stalin before forms like which is like more realistic one. So the constructivism is like got more rooms for you to like try to understand the kind of like metaphors and symbolic things with using all those unique characters and stuff. So there's the other point I love constructivism.
I feel like also a bit going back to the first question, one of the main differences as well between Suprematism and Constructivism is that Constructivism is more utilitarian. Because we see like one of the main differences as well is that one is more materialist and utilitarian, which would be Constructivism, and Suprematism was none of those things at all. It was completely the opposite. So another thing that I would like to say is that so Constructivism is concerned with the utilitarian strategies of adapting art to the principles of functional organization. And then the traditional easel painter is transformed into the artist as engineers, as we said before, in charge of organizing life in all of its aspects. And then, in contrast to what we were saying about Suprematism, it embodies profoundly in the anti-materialist and anti-utilitarian philosophy. So again, I found them very, 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 very interesting. Yeah.
So, do you want to jump to the other question?
Yeah.
Alright, so which artworks draw more on Iran? Malevich or Morma or Malevich?
Which artworks draw more on irony? I would say, let me see one of the examples of.
Is it in the back, right?
Oh wait. We're gonna edit this part before you ask me this question. There's one. Also, like going back to Constructivism and talking about the women, like the woman's role. Women's role in Constructivism. We saw Stepanova.
Yeah. Wait.
Oh yeah. Stepanova. When we see all her work in regards to the textiles and how she reflected Constructivism and like being realistic. I don't think anyone would ever wear that kind of like outwear. Like it was like very sport. Well, it looks like very sport-like outwear, which. I mean, probably I would say it's awful because we're looking at it in a 2020 perspective. I don't know if, in 1923, or was it 1923? Yeah, when she released 1923, 1924, maybe you can...
Well, I don't know if you can see it.
Anyway.
But I don't know, when comparing that kind of like design to, like European fashion, it's funny.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what was like what was happening like this, kind of like in the Soviet fashion kind of area, and what was happening in the like European fashion outside of the Soviet Union. So it's completely different. Like one was more inclined to ideology of being a communist country, right? And then
the other was like more international.
And it was.
So I'm like, they also like quite, actually using that kind of like design, also using like quite, straight line or square into the design to make it quite simple, but also look like some kind of like uniform.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like a uniform completely, and trying to unify everything.
Yeah.
So. And in a way, like we use uniforms at like high school.
In some occasion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I can remember all high school I had to use uniform.
Same.
So honestly I hate it. Because I felt that I was
really
being
like,
controlled. Like I was not able to express myself, because if you go out of the like the code of dressing, you would be either punished or sent home or stuff like that, which is, I would say, you can see. You can see the reflection of this like control society. Yeah,
I'm like the one of the reason why the school like using uniforms. I'm like, they're trying to reduce the possibility that the student comparing with each other and trying to make everybody look the same to like some kind of a unify.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's actually like even in present times we still got some very similar ideas.
Yeah.
Which is quite funny. So some probably when you look at it, it's quite awful, but. During that time, people just like believing it. And it
was. It's like it is what it is, It was what it was. So like if you were in that such a control society, control environment, when they were telling you how to like this, talk like this, do like this, which
sounds pretty familiar.
I mean, I cannot relate to that because definitely Mexico, at least during the
time. I'm not saying any country. Okay, it just sounds familiar.
But like like Western society, I would say like America in general. Well, maybe not in general, but like Mexico. At least in the time that I was living there, we never had that influence of like communism at all. Which I don't know in China how.
Well, it's like,
how did you leave it?
Well, it's like I'm like in America, and it's actually like some kind of capitalism. Later, like I think some of the leaders just find that it's like the worker, the number of workers in that country is like outstanding. So in a way, it's like communism, which is. And the other female designer, which is Popova, she's quite interesting. I'm like, she's like also good at both.
Yeah, she started as like her training was in Suprematism, and then Suprematist painting, and then she went to Constructivism, like in textile as well. Which, well, we'll probably put one of her paintings next to us, but
if we can save the work.
We're saying now. It's so interesting to look at, to be honest. But then you still have like the red person, the black.
Yep. I'm like, you can still like that kind of like straight like square. I'm like that kind of like shape triangle things in the painting, but also using some color. I'm like, it's actually combining both together to show personality as well.
Yeah. And then, as we said, we mentioned already like the industrial part when we were talking about Skoda, how they were selling you. It was at the same time, but in completely different part of the world, right? We have like the US and we have Europe, well, Russia.
And this one, I'm like, this is just one where you like, one of the example from real life. You can imagine like what's the other difference as well.
Yeah.
Like if you look at like if you check out the advertisement, back in the time, it's a lot interesting to compare.
Yeah, we can again, I feel like in the advertisements of Skoda, they were selling you a utilitarian design. You know what I mean? Like safe. I don't know. It's gonna last you forever. Like it's loyal to the.
It's more like a tool. It's more like a tool of your life.
Yeah. It's not an accessory. It's not like a. You know what I mean? It's not like you will need to use it. Like it's going to be part of you forever.
Yeah.
They're not selling you a luxury. Like you're gonna have this car and you're gonna have like all. I don't know. Like we usually see advertisements like if there's a car, there's a woman next to it.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to sell you like this. Women is gonna come around you and you're gonna be like the man or the man of the family or whatever.
It's not. It's just like you're not just buying the car, but also buying the frame. The kind of all those like things come with the car.
Yeah, it's like this lifestyle that is coming around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm like, and then when you go back to like some beginning thing, the advertising from them is like constructivism. It's more like focusing the functionality of the car. You're just showing like you can drive it and use it as one of your like daily life tool instead of like all the other things that
they're selling you comfort. They're selling you they're gonna be this person of society that is stable and it's life-lasting design, etc. That's very interesting to look at, and we see that reflection in all of these advertisements. Like in the like the Pontiac, the advertisement of the Pontiac in the US, in America, there were something that's like eccentric, like adventure, and you're gonna go to like these fancy parties, and you're gonna be here, and you're gonna be like a superstar kind of thing. Which, if we are realistic, that doesn't happen. But that's kind of like the power of marketing or advertisement and how they use it to their advantage.
Okay. But I want to put on like one extra question here. So you're doing like an industrial design right now. So which I'm like. The functionality is quite similar, but which design you prefer, and can you say why?
If I had like both advertisements, I'd be like, which one I would go for?
Yeah.
I feel because I think I would say like.
No, I'm like it's not just about the advertisement, also like the design of the car. It's like
I would go.
The American style is more like a bowl and quite open.
Yeah, it's like if it would tell you that it's gonna eat the streets.
Exactly.
I'm the boss of the street. Like you see this car and you're like, I'm not even gonna go near there. It's just like, whoa.
Ooh. And the colors also red as well.
And those cars, like it just remember like Hollywood. People with power. I'm humble. I would stay with the Skoda one.
Ooh, that's quite interesting, yeah.
Because but I think that reflects like my personal like what I want in a car. I don't need anything fancy. I need something that transfers me from point A to point B, and if it works, it works. And it's gonna cost me probably way less. Because they're not. It's the thing like nowadays, like they're not even selling you the product, they're selling you the brand. Right? So if you have like Pontiac, it's like
they're just giving you some kind of idea of the brand. When you come up with like some occasion in your life, you just come up with like just like that.
Yeah, it's like they were saying you that if you buy this car, you're gonna be in this social standard thing. Yeah. Right? They're selling you like, oh, you're gonna be here. Yeah. And people are gonna look at you with your car and you're gonna be like, wow. Yeah. Which in reality, nobody cares. But, and if you care, it's because you're being superficial. But that's a completely different topic. But
But I'm like from that kind of example, you just can tell like how the artwork is being used as like a political tool.
Yeah.
This kind of comparison. So I'm like the capitalism also I like personally feel like the capitalism also just trying to attract people to go to them.
Yeah.
But I'm like it's definitely got more fun with the capitalism in the way they show. But